Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 reads from 2017. Now I'm not just going to be talking about my top 10 books that were released in 2017, this is out of any of the 150 books that I read last year. Also, I have kind of cheated with this a little bit because I have more than 10 books to show you because I have some series that I included as well. I just felt bad talking about only one book from a series when I'd read the entire series in 2017, but you'll understand as I get to them when I talk about them. But for now, let's get started with which book I have at number 10. So in at number 10, I have A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Barnard. I read this book during my first 24-hour readathon that I did on my channel last year, and I absolutely fell in love with this book. This book focuses on the characters of Steffi, who is a selective mute, and Reese, who is deaf. Because Steffi is a selective mute, she has learned British Sign Language, and so when Reese joins their school, they are paired up together. I just love the way that this is written to show their communications when they're using sign language, and I just love how they build up a friendship and a bond through this, and it turns into romance. I love the romance aspect of this story. Then at number 9, I have By Your Side by Casey West. This is a book that I had been meaning to pick up when it was first released, but I didn't actually end up reading it until October. I did struggle to find this book here in the UK, so I ended up listening to the audiobook instead. This story focuses on Autumn, who gets locked in a library over a long weekend with a character called Dax, who is one of the last people she would want to be stuck with. I just thought that this was a really unique storyline. I loved the development of the characters and the pace of the story, and I really enjoyed the ending. In at number 8, I have The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. That title is such a mouthful. I'm actually surprised that I managed to say it the first time. So I read this book back in August as part of my second 24-hour readathon, and it is now one of my favourite books of all time. This story focuses on the characters of Hadley and Oliver. Hadley is 17 and she is flying from New York to London to go to her dad's second wedding. Oliver is British and he is flying back home to London. They end up sitting together on the flight, and then they lose each other when they get to the airport on the other side. This story is set over a 24-hour period, which made the pacing really quick, but I loved that about it. It was a very quick read for me, which was great as it was part of a readathon, but I just love this story and I would definitely read it again soon. Then at number 7, I have a series, and that is the Did I Mention I Love You series. So this series is made up of 3 books. The first is Did I Mention I Love You, the second is Did I Mention I Need You, and the third is Did I Mention I Miss You. This trilogy focuses on 16-year-old Eden, who goes out to Santa Monica for the summer to spend time with her father and his new family. This new family includes Eden's stepbrother Tyler, who has a pretty bad reputation. However, despite that reputation and the fact that he is her stepbrother, she finds herself falling for him. I just love these books, and if I had to pick a favourite, I would probably say book 2, which is Did I Mention I Need You, because it is set in New York. Also, I'm very excited that this year there is another book being released that goes with this series, and it is being told from Tyler's point of view. Then at number 6, we have Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. In 2017, I read the entire Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and this book is technically part of that, but it's also classed as a companion novel because this book takes place at the same time as book 5. This book focuses on the character of Kale, who is one of my favourite characters in the entire series, but I'm not going to talk about this book too much now because I did a whole book review for this one, which I will link in the description box. So now we're down to my top 5, and in 5th place we have The One We Fell in Love With by Page 2. This book was part of the Zoella book club back in 2016, but I didn't get around to reading this one until the beginning of 2017. This book follows triplets Phoebe, Eliza and Rose as they all fall in love with the same guy. There is a big plot twist in this book, which obviously I'm not going to reveal now, but I didn't see it coming, and it just made the story even more amazing. I just loved it and I would highly recommend this. Before I share with you which book I have put in 4th place, I just want to share that books 4, 3 and 2 I found really hard to put in order. Every time I've tried to write this list of 10 books, I have changed the order of these 3 books every single time. For the purposes of this video, I've had to put them in a particular order, but tomorrow when I come to edit this video, I'm probably going to have changed my mind. So in 4th position, I have a book from last year's Zoella and Friends book club, and that is Letters to the Lost. I thought the concept of this story was really unique. I've never read anything like this. The characters of Juliet and Declan are sending letters to each other, but they don't know who they're sending them to. Juliet and Declan go to the same school, but they are not friends. Juliet is struggling to cope with the death of her mother, and Declan is on community service. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I was just waiting for the 2 of them to realise who they were sending letters to, and I wanted them to get together so badly. There's also a plot twist in this one as well, which I'm obviously not going to reveal, but it's well worth a read. I highly recommend it. In 3rd place, I have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm going to start by telling you how much this book made me cry. I was uncontrollably sobbing for at least half an hour when I finished this book. Colleen's writing is incredible, and I was completely hooked on this book, even though it deals with the subject of domestic violence. If this is the sort of book that you think you might be interested in, then I cannot recommend it enough. This is the first book that I've ever read that deals with domestic violence, and it is a real eye-opener. It also gave me a better understanding of how those people who are being abused stay with that person because of how much they love them. Even I had fallen in love with the character, and when he was saying that he promised he would change and wouldn't do it again, I wanted to believe him. It is really difficult to read at times, but I still recommend it because of how well written it is. Then at number 2 I have The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. This was also part of last year's Zoella and Friends book club, and this is now my favourite Zoella book club book of all time. I have a video where I reviewed all of the books from the Zoella and Friends book club from last year, including this one, so if you want to find out a little bit more then I will link that in the description box. But this book is about Paige, who a year after her boyfriend has died in a swimming accident is making plans to rejoin the world. I love the character of Max in this book. He's definitely my favourite character out of all of them, and it has the most perfect ending, so I really do recommend this. I absolutely loved it. And finally, my favourite book or series that I read in 2017 is probably going to come as no surprise to those people that know me. It is the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J Maas. I love these books. They are definitely my favourite books that I've ever read. It's the best series that I've ever read. I cannot wait for the next book that is coming out in May, even though it is a novella and it will be shorter. I can't wait to rejoin this world and the characters again. The characters are my favourite thing about this. I love them. I'm trying not to talk about these books too much because I do have a full review video that I will link in the description box. It is spoiler free at the beginning, so if you haven't read the books then you can hear my thoughts without giving anything away. And then if you wait until further on in the video, I do talk about spoilers, so if you have read the books then you can hear more about my thoughts on them. But these 3 books are definitely my favourite read of 2017, and if I had to pick a favourite then I would have to say A Court of Mist and Fury. So those were my favourite reads of 2017, and I would love to know what your favourite book from last year was, so feel free to leave a comment down below and tell me what was your favourite. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you again next week with another video. Bye!